Hello everyone, welcome to the show The Focus Line. Today I am going to discuss two important articles that came in the Hindu, where they are very important from the men's perspective. So in today's Focus Line I am going to discuss these two articles. First is in editorial. It is discussing about the double speak of USA. Okay, so India is finding the Trump administration increasingly unreliable. So how we are going to discuss this one? Then second article then again came in the Hindu only. It is talking about the RTI shift to the RTI to right to deny information. So it is important from the GS2 as well as from the GS4 perspective. So totally I'm going to cover the two articles, but it will be these are the important for the GS2 as well as GS4. So when it comes to this first article, that is about the double speak of the USA. So this particular article, it is focusing on the three aspects. So it is the showing the contradiction. So first it is showing contradiction in trade, because if you are all aware about the what USA has done in last 2 months. First they invited for talk, they suddenly abruptly they stop talk, they denied any talks in future. Now currently again they are calling the India's commerce minister for the free trade agreement talk. So from that perspective we can see there is the double standard. Okay, they are dictating the relations on their whims. So that is one issue, and it is directly also linked to the GDP, the export, and also the job. So there we are seeing this double speak. Second, we are seeing this contradiction in our import, particularly oil, and the strategic autonomy. Because if we see USA has imposed, previously they imposed 50% reciprocal tariff. Then this 50%, out of this 50%, 25% is reciprocal tariff and 20% is ad valorem duty. And this is because of the purchase of Russian oil. Okay, oil from the Russia. And this they have imposed 25% to penalize the Indian imports. But it is again it is threatening our strategic autonomy, because if you are all aware about the previously what happened when the USA imposed sanction on the Iran as well as the Venezuela. That time India stopped buying the cheap oil that we used to buy from the Iran as well as the Venezuela. So that time we, for the considering the long-term partnership between India and USA, we compromised on our strategic autonomy. So now again the currently same thing happening. USA is imposing sanction on the Russia. They want us to stop buy oil from the Russia. But again the case study is different when it comes to the Russia, because we have the very complex relation when it comes to Russia. Also, Russia is all-weather partner for India, and also important, it is a reliable partner. But when it comes to USA, it is very becoming unreliable. From that perspective, our strategic autonomy is in under the threat because of this US double standard. Third, this contradiction we are seeing in the diplomacy, because what is happening here in diplomacy, the Trump one time he praises the Prime Minister Modi, and second time he talks about the Indian economy. He calls Indian economy as dead economy. Also, when it comes to the relation between leaders, the Prime Minister of India and the President of USA, they says that they have good relations, they are good friends. But when it comes to the official levels, the if we see the Secretary of Trade of USA as well as the other officials, they become harsh. They criticize India's economy, India's stand on the relation with Russia. So that time we see that there is contradiction in diplomacy. So their leaders going in the one direction and the other official going in other direction. So this is the contradiction happening at three level. This particular article is discussing, and this contradiction directly is impacting the Indian economy in the way like. First, it is impacting the Indian economy. and it is impacting Indian economy, because if you see, it is directly tied to our GDP. Not much, but still it is 0.5% of the GDP will be hampered because of this USA 50% tariff. Second, the exports. Our exports that going to USA, we have the trade surplus, as well as USA is the largest destination for the Indian exports. So USA becomes very crucial partner when it comes to the trade relations, and there is possibility that there would be reduction in the export, and directly it is linked to the job reduction or the unemployment in India. So this is when it comes to the economy. Second, there is again impact on strategic autonomy of India, because if you have seen the previously, when they imposed sanction on the Iran and Venezuela, our relations, our strategic autonomy was the trend by the USA. But now currently same thing happening. They want us to follow their policy drive. So in this context, the strategic autonomy is under the threat. We have just discussed. Also, there is the USA opposition when we are conducting our relations with the China as well as the Russia. So from that perspective, when it comes to the pursuing our strategic autonomy, it is very concerned because of the USA polity drift. So this is the one impact. Third impact is on reputation. Whose reputation? The reputation of USA itself. Because if you see, there is USA as becoming unreliable, even with their long-term partners. USA and the European Union, they are the partners from the Cold War era. But if you see what is happening now, USA is not letting the European Union also. They are imposing the tariffs. They are drifting the European Union behind their policies. So this is again the one more example where the reputation of USA is also eroding because of their unreliability. So this is this particular article is talking about. Okay, so from this article we can conclude that how the geopolitics works. Okay, so when it comes to the developed country, their economical strength, their military, and other aspect, their dominance in the multilateralism. Okay, so what they will do, they will try to trend the other world behind them. Okay, so this is when it comes to geopolitics, something we are seeing now. So next article I want to discuss, it is about this particularly right to information. Okay, so because it is talking about the recently passed Digital Personal Data Protection Act in 2023, and the amendment to the section 81J of the Right to Information Act has been seen restricting access by the expanding the definition of personal information. So this focus of this whole article is on this expanding definition of the personal information, and how it is linked to how it is restricting the transparency. So briefly, before starting discussion, why right to information is the very crucial, because if you see the right to information which came in 2005, 2006, somewhere there. So this particular, from the 2005 onwards, there are more than 10 million RTIs filed by the different activists. Okay, and there are the more than 1,000 deaths happened. Activists lost their life for fighting this right to information. So this is the importance of the right to information. We'll restrict our discussion for this particular article. Next time when again the development will come, that time we'll see the right to information in detail. So next, what is the actually background here? What the section 81J, the original idea it was allowed denial of information. Okay, when denial of information, if the information related to personal information and there is no public interest. Okay, so that time the information can be denied. Second, the disclosure would cause the unwarranted invasion on the privacy unless the larger public interest justified it. So from that perspective, when these two aspects involved, when personal information it is no longer in public interest, or it after providing the information, it invades the privacy of the particular person, that time this particular act denies the information. Okay, so this was the original section, and there was the safeguard also given. So the information could not be denied to parliament or state legislature, but they denied only to the other ordinary citizens. Okay, so there was also safeguard. So this was the what was the original idea. So now what changed? Okay, what changes they have brought after bringing the digital personal data protection bill or the act. Okay, so this particular bill has amended this ITI act also, and this widen the scope of this personal information. The interpretation of personal information has been changed. And how, what are the two new interpretation? The natural personal. So first interpretation is natural personal interpretation. So it was limited to normal on living individuals. Okay, so this is one interpretation. Second, this digital personal data protection bill, it is talks of, it made it broader. It, the personal interpretation, the personal information, it started including the firms, companies, Hindu undivided families, association, and the state. So this, from the perspective of the transparency, this is the threat to the privacy of the individual citizen. Okay, this government is arguing that they have brought this for the transparency, from the perspective of transparency, but is evading the privacy. How we'll see now. So what are the problems there involved? So it is undermining the transparency. How it is undermining transparency? Because there is a broader interpretation now. Okay, not only the personal data, but the others, the firms, the companies, even the state. So they can be also eliminated from the, or the they are also not, stop to give the information under this particular bill. So from that perspective, you can see that there is transparency getting undermined. Second is, it is facilitating corruption. How it is facilitating corruption? Because it is shielding the details of the government contracts to the ghost employee to corruption charges by the classifying them as a personal. So second interpretation, what we have seen, this, it made it broader. It started including the firms, companies, Hindu undivided families, association, and state under the definition of personal. So it is directly linked to the corruption. Second is, third implication is the, it is given the apathy or the chilling effect, because it is no longer shielding, it is shielding the governments. Okay, and no longer it is the brought to increase the transparency in governance. Okay, also when it comes to the apathy part, because the some citizens who needs data to for their welfare, and this welfare many times the corruption involves, and that time these people will not get their information, and due to this aspect, ultimately their welfare or the government will show apathy towards these people. So this is one more effect. Next is the, what are the ethical and governance dimensions involved here? So this is from the GS2 and GS3 perspective. So when it comes to the ethics in public service, what it tells, the transparency is fundamental value. Okay, and it fosters secrecy. Denial fosters secrecy. So the transparency, that is denial under this particular act, what it is leading, it is denial, it is secrecy. It is leading to the secrecy, opacity in governance. So this is the one more aspect involved. Then second is, it is in conflict with accountability and privacy. How the amendment tilts balance heavily towards the privacy, okay, at the cost of accountability, because it is shielding the government contractors, the employees, the corruption charges, because they are classifying under the personal. So it is the, instead of upholding the accountability of the government, it is leading to the privacy. Okay, next is the democracy and participation, because you all know the access to information is the key for the proper functioning of the democracy. And what is leading? it is particular amendment has weakened the right to information, which is very crucial when it comes to the access to government information. So, and also see for the citizens trust. Okay, so what is leading? It is the weakening indirectly the democracy itself. Next, it is also undermining constitutional prescription. How? Because the Article 19(1)(a). Okay, so the RTI flows from the freedom of speech and expression, where the citizen has the right to access information. Okay, so from that perspective, it is undermining the constitutional prescription itself. Also, it is eroding the judicial authority, because you all are aware about the case Puttaswamy case, Justice case Puttaswamy case, which has says that right to privacy is fundamental right, but not absolute. It must be balanced with the public interest. So, but here if you see, the public interest is undermined. Okay, in for the privacy, and the privacy is getting maintained. Privacy become absolute than the public interest. So these are the ethical dimensions involved in this particular act. Next, it is there the implication on the stakeholders. Okay, so from the GS2 perspective, it is important they may ask the questions from the stakeholder perspective. Who the stakeholders involved here? First is the citizens. So citizens, now their ability to hold government accountable will be reduced because of lack of access to information. Second, for media and civil services. So what will happen? The investigative journalism, social audit will be weakened. So this investigative journalism, which is the cornerstone to reduce the corruption, because through this investigative journalism, many corruptions came out, and this particular aspect is getting undermined because of the interpretation of personal information. Next is for the democracy itself. There would be transparency deficit, because there would be erosion of trust and there are higher chances of the authoritarianism, because of the government's whims will be dominating to access to get to grant or the deny the information. Okay, next is for administration. The official escape the scrutiny and encourage inefficiency. So if they are open to scrutiny, ultimately what will happen? The people will question them, people will hold accountable them. Okay, from the public pressure, they will it will increase the efficiency. But here what will happen? The official will escape from the scrutiny and it will encourage the inefficiency. So this is one aspect. Next, the most important, that is what is the way forward. So what can be the way forward here? Their need of clear definitions. Okay, so now currently it is defined the personal information very narrowly, and it is to protect the genuine privacy but not shield the public wrongs. Okay, so this is need to be done rather than the shielding the government or the public wrongs. It should be to shield the privacy of the people. Next, there is need of judicial oversight. So it need to allow the appeals on the denial of information to independent tribunals or the constitutional courts. Okay, so this is the one more aspect here. Next, there is need of stronger safeguards. So it is needs to protect the whistleblowers and the RTI applicants from the retaliation. Okay, so if there, I told when before the starting discussion, there are more than the 10,000 people, the RTI activists lost their life because of the retaliation. So there is need of the whistleblower protection. You all are aware about the story of former ICS officer who lost his life because he exposed the corruption in the NHAI. So that's for that only we need to have the proper protection for the whistleblowers as well as the RP applicants. Next, there is need of awareness and advocacy. So citizens, NGO, the media, they need to push the campaign. How the media, civil service organization pushed campaign to bring the Right to Information Act itself. So there is need of the public awareness to push to push back these amendments. Also, there is need challenges in the courts. So this whatever the threat to democracy is arising, that can be eliminated. Next, there is need of balanced framework. It need to adopt the case by case proportionality test. Okay, so the privacy and the public interest these two aspects should be decided on basis of case to case, okay, instead of the blanket denial. So rather than the denying information blanketly, there need to be case to case scrutiny, where the particular case will decide where they should uphold the privacy or they should go for the public interest. Okay, so this is about two articles that I wanted to discuss. Here I'm finishing discussion. Monday I will come with again some whatever article comes in the Hindu as well as the Indian Express. That time I will discuss it from the men's perspective. Thank you very much.